Thank you, everyone. So I call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. I will ask Justin to read the land acknowledgement for us, please.
The city of Thorold is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Haudenosaunee, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississauga, the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. City of Thorold stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live.
Thank you, Justin. We'll move on to number 3, declaration of interest. Are there any declaration of interest tonight? I don't see any in council or online, so moving on. Adoption of the agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda? Thanks, Joe. Thanks, George. Can I call the question? All those in favor? Opposed? Showing that, it passes. Adoption of the minutes 5.1 PTRC 4-2025, June 2nd, 2025. Can I get a mover and seconder to adopt the minutes? Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Ken. Can I call the question? All those in favor? Opposed? Showing none, it passes. We're going to be switching over to number 6. I will now for the next part of the meeting, turn it over to Justin for the election coordinator.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair. So first, we'll start off with nominations for committee chair. So now I will now call for nominations for committee chair. Are there any nominations for committee chair? Councillor Sentence. Is there a hold on? Is there a seconder for that? Peter. I'll now call a second and third time for nominations. Are there any other nominations for chair? Someone else will have to nominate you. Jeff. Okay, 1 second. Is there a seconder for Joe Atkinson as chair? Is there a seconder? I need a second. He was the mover. Can I get a seconder? Oh, I see Bob. Yep, sorry. Okay, I'll call again. Is there any other nominations for committee chair? Seeing none. Can I get a mover and a seconder to close nominations for committee chair? Can I get a mover? I got Peter. A seconder? I got Councillor Sentence. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. So we have 2 candidates. Before we get to voting on them, I'll open it up if Marcia or Joe want to say anything. I'll start with Marcia as she was nominated first. Would you like to say anything?
No, I just accept the nomination.
Okay. Joe, would you like to add anything?
Just accept the nomination.
Okay. All right, so we're going to move to the voting now. For those online, if you are able and who is able to vote, yeah, yes.
Could I just say a couple words before we vote?
Sure.
Yeah. A couple words in support of Joe Atkinson, actually. I have been suitably impressed with Joe on this committee. I've had an opportunity to work with him on the Gibson Lake initiative, and I've learned a lot from Joe. And you know, in the year, roughly the year we have left here, I want a good leadership, and I want to make the most of it, like we all do. And Joe, being a former city councillor and having a vast amount of committee experience with the city of Thorold, I think he'd be a good choice. So that's what I wanted to add.
Okay, thank you. All right, so for the vote, for those in the chamber, if you, when I call upon you, if you can raise your hand up high, and for those online, if you're capable of using the raise hand button when it comes to the nomination, that would be appreciated. So all those in favor of Marcia for committee chair, please raise your hand. Okay, you can put your hands down now. All those in favor of Joe for committee chair? Okay, so with that, Marcia is elected as our committee chair, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Say something?
Yeah.
My vote was solely based on Marcia taking over when I wasn't able to attend the meetings and being, double, triple booked every single Monday. I just want to say thank you to her, but I do think, Joe would serve just as well as anyone, if not better. But can we elect Joe as our vice chair?
So moving on to the next topic, now the committee vice chair position is now moved out. She's now the committee chair. So now I will call on nominations for vice chair. Is there any nominations for committee vice chair?
Joe?
And is there a seconder for that? Peter, I got it. I'll call a second and third time. Is there any other nominations for committee vice chair? Seeing none, can I get a mover and a seconder to close nominations for committee vice chair? Is there a mover? I'll go with Kieran. And seconder? I got Bob online. All right, all those in favor of closing the nominations for committee vice chair? Opposed? Carried. All right, so with that only being one nominee, I'll please join me in congratulating Joe as vice chair. Okay, now with that, I'll pass it back to committee chair Kupalo for the rest of the meeting.
Thank you, Justin. We're going to move on to number 7, which is correspondence. At their meeting on June 17th, 2025, Council passed Memorandum CL-C 16-2025 regarding Parks, Trails, Recreation Advisory Committee resolution regarding washroom facilities along the trail parks. Does anyone want to have any questions or anything about that before we move on to 7.2? Seeing none online, none in thing, we'll move on to 7.2. Public Information Center. On July 15th, 2025, a public information center will take place for the rail trail connection on Malrats Road to the Welland Canal, a trail municipal class environment assessment study. Does anyone have anything to ask about that or any questions? Yes, Joe?
Yeah, I just wanted to verify that meeting's going to be held in the atrium here?
If I'm not mistaken, yes, it is here at City Hall.
Sorry?
Yes, it is here at City Hall.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions regarding this one? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to 7.3. Justin, I believe you have a new one.
Yep, so I have another one. Thank you, Madam Chair. So there's another PIC as well. On January 21st from 5 to 7, there will be a PIC regarding the Legacy Area 3 Park. And we hope to have something about that for next meeting here as well.
Does anyone have any questions about that? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next one. So we're going to move on to committee business. We're going to call for a staff presentation for 8.1. Who will be doing the staff presentation?
I believe I have Ugo online here.
Yes.
You can go ahead, Ugo, when you're ready.
Okay. Do you want me to share this screen or you?
Yes, you can if you like.
Sorry, do you want me to share the screen, Justin?
Yes, please.
Okay. Or can anyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Okay, my name is Ugo Obiako. I'm with the engineering department here at the City of Thorold. Today's presentation is about the Artisan Ridge Neighborhood Park. We are hoping to have a PIC, Public Information Center, for the proposed park at the Artisan Ridge area. So we are looking at having the PIC on Monday, July 14th, 2025. Venue is a Municipal Operations Center. Time is 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. So the purpose of this PIC is to get a sense of what the residents and the other stakeholders want in terms of the park at the Artisan Ridge. So our evaluation at the end of the day will be based off of all these criteria listed here. So, for example, community engagement, transparency, feedback from residents and other stakeholders. Also to inform residents about the kind of amenities that we plan on installing at the park. And they also reach a consensus with all parties to have a common understanding of the amenities to be constructed at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, our PIC will have an opportunity for questions and comments as well. So the park is located at Artisan Ridge. So Artisan Ridge developer, they've been constructing their some of the houses in phases. So but this park will more like service all those phases that are either existing or to be constructed in the future. So the overview to understand the design of Artisan Ridge, Artisan Ridge Estate. Our goal is to propose park features for the neighborhood parks, referencing the Thorold Parks and Recreation Master Plan completed in 2020. The purpose of the park is intended to provide the minimum park amenities to residents and Artisan Ridge neighborhoods. So the criteria, for example, if you look, I'll be showing this slide very soon, the drawing showing some of the concepts that we are looking at. So most of the criteria of amenities we plan on putting at the park will either contain all of this or some of them based on the funding availability. So one of them is a playground for junior and senior, multipurpose grass field area. We are looking at proposing a splash pad area, picnic benches, washroom, and outdoor fitness area as well. So all of this based off of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan that was completed in 2020. In terms of our evaluation, at the end of the PIC, we are looking at having to evaluate some of the comments using these 5 criteria listed here. Like the first one is general, ability to support current and future residential development, growth in Artisan Ridge. The natural piece of it is about preserving the environment while meeting the requirements for the park as well. Then social and cultural consideration to promote social programs, activities for parks, individual communities, and cultural resources. So technical, so this one boils down to the engineering piece of it. So at the end of the day, when we receive all these comments, we'll be evaluating them based on the constructability and the cost-effective nature of those parks. So economic piece of it will be looking at the funding available to proceed with the construction at the end of the day. So this, if you look at here, evaluation methodology. So this chart kind of depicts how we will be evaluating comments received at the PIC and from this committee member at the end of the day. So in conclusion, we plan on soliciting feedback from residents and the Parks Recreation Committee here as well, and all the other residences here at the City of Thorold. So at the end of the day, we evaluate the comments and select the proposed park amenities to be or preferred option to be advanced further for detailed design. So today's presentation or our PIC that we plan on having on July 14th is to get a sense of what residents want in terms of how they want to see the park built and what they would like to see at the end of the day. So I'll show the other slides, sorry, showing some of our plan here. So I'll just go like this. So this is the Artisan Ridge. This is the map of the location. So in here, this is the location where we'll be having the park. So this is more like a broad, bigger drawing showing the park. So this is playground area. This is a mini soccer field that we plan on installing. There's a parking lot also proposed for this park walk. So to make it a little bit legible. So parking lot from the north end to the park. It has about 15 spots, one handicapped. Multi-use trail is 3 meter wide, splash pad, gazebo, and a basketball net and adult fitness. This, at the end of the day, this is how the playground area will look like if we go into construction. So this is more like a rendered drawing for that. It's another picture showing that as well. The splash pad may vary. So the reason for this picture here is just to, for demonstration purpose, to get sense of what residents will prefer at the end of the day. Thank you. I will stop sharing.
Thank you, Hugo, for the presentation. Does anyone have any questions for him? Oh, I know there's going to be lots of hands. Joe, you can go first.
Thank you. I'm just curious, as it's not directly part of the presentation, I've got no issue with the plan itself. Do we have any indication at the moment what's going to be put to the north and to the west of the park? Because there's no indication of no line drawings or anything. And if there's any kind of a time frame that the city's aware of it being built, of something else being built to surround the park. If that, I'm quite familiar with the area. If my only concern is if the park, for the sake of argument, got put in within the next year and a half, whatever, and nothing got built to the south or to the west, I hope somebody's going to cut the grass because there's going to be a lot of ticks out there, amongst other things. I don't know whether the anybody from the city can answer that or not at this stage, or at least have some information. At the,
Dave, do you have any answers for that? Do you know?
So do you mean the maintenance piece of it? Like,
Sorry, we couldn't understand you. Could you repeat that for us, please, Hugo?
yeah, I want to confirm the question that he's asking. Does it mean how we maintain the grasses to avoid ticks from infecting residents or people? Was that the question?
Yes, Justin?
Sorry, Hugo, if I can try to clarify, I think the question is what is going to be built to the north and west of the park? What are the future plans? Is it residential? Is it, what is it going to be built?
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's a residential kind of building. So the owners right now is developing the site in phases. So they finished phase 1. Phase 2 was serviced like 2 years ago. So they are looking at proceeding with phase 3 piece of it, phase 3A. So it will be surrounded by houses.
Joe, is that sufficient for you?
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming was going to happen. And again, it's just, we're talking far enough into the future that it could well be a whole different committee that's even looking at it by that point, different council for that matter. But I'd just be concerned if it was laid fallow for any great length of time after the park was built. That was my only concern when I read through the report.
Thank you. Kieran, you're next. Dave, you're after Kieran.
Yeah. Could you just zoom in on the plans for the mini soccer field? You have some dimensions there. Just curious to what the sizes are.
Oh, okay. Like this is 19 meter by 30 meter.
Okay, so that's that's like mini soccer. My other comment, because typically on the kids' fields like that we play now, the U8, U9, U10, and U11, all play on fields that are roughly 40 by 50 meters. If that was increased to that, Thorold Soccer would utilize that field a fair amount for games, for practices, and other things. But on top of that, I see I have like 15 parking spots. Anytime I go in these parks, the parking lots are full. Like Rolling Meadows, they have their own dedicated bylaw officer that drives around, and there's people just parked all over the place. I think you'd probably want to extend that parking around the corner and to the south. Is that the south side or the north? I'm looking at the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even another entrance at both sides, and like the parking to wrap around this thing, because if you were to increase that field size and it was utilized by Thorold Soccer, like that would meet a huge demand. I know they would love to have this. It would mean we wouldn't have 15 fields painted at CE Gross. We'd only have 2. So just something to keep in mind. If they increase that size to about 40 by 50 and add parking to the north and south, would be hugely beneficial to the park.
Thank you, Corinne. Dave, you're next online.
Thank you through me, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone.
Oh,
I think
sorry,
we moved
David.
into the
Dave,
question.
sorry, I meant David.
Oh, I'm sorry. You meant Dave, Mr. Cribbs. I'm sorry.
I
My
apologize.
apologies.
I apologize. I should have been more clear.
Well, there was a 50-50 on that, in fairness. For whatever it's worth, I hate being called Dave with all-consuming passion, and Mr. Baldoni apparently doesn't mind. So that's an easy way to distinguish us. Sorry, to our presenter, Hugo. Firstly, with respect to this graphic, I don't see any lighting whatsoever, and maybe that's unfair relative to where it is in the design phase, but I don't think it's, in fact, I know it's not good municipal practice to have an unlit parking lot as a starting point, and I can also tell you it's very bad security practice to not have a light near the bathroom at a minimum. So is that oversight, or are we actually contemplating building a new park without any lighting?
Most of the park will have lightning. So this is more like a concept plan, just for discussion's sake. So when we get into detailed design, we'll add all those features.
Very good. Thank you. And then can I ask you to go to the next slide, please?
Okay. This one?
No, sorry. It's the one with how it's gonna be scored.
Sorry.
You're definitely going. I think you're going the wrong direction.
Okay. Just down. This is the splash pad or the slide?
The slides.
Okay.
And almost there. There you go. So those evaluation criteria, are those being ranked equally in the methodology?
Yeah, so we use it depends. So we use a weighted average at the end of the day to do the evaluation and scoring.
All right. Well, then I guess my comment that I hope both Mr. Baldoni and the elected officials in the room here is I don't think this leads, I say with respect, because I'm glad you have a methodology, but I would not score them equally, and or I'd have a couple of things that were necessary for me regardless of how they came out in scoring. And to my earlier point about the lighting, that would be a piece. And ultimately, you know, when you put economic in there, what it's going to end up scoring out to is you're not going to build any bathrooms. I can just, I mean, just sort of self-evidently know that we're just at concept drawings, but the bathroom is the most expensive part of a park. If you're doing an outdoor park like this, without a close second, you know, it needs servicing, and then it needs humans to service it. So when you look at these, if these are the criteria that get applied, you'll end up with a far more simplistic park, and the expensive but value added pieces are the ones that'll be left off. And, you can either protect against that in the methodology, or ahead of time, you can say, no matter what, they're like A, B, and C have to be in the park. A couple of ways to approach that. And it's not like Ugonas are being unfair. Like they're trying to bring you a good methodology, and so that needs to be applauded. I don't say this to be devastating, but if all of those factors are ranked equally, you're going to get a park that's a lot more simplistic than what you've just seen the design of, and it won't capture the comments from the last member, about Pelham Soccer, for instance. That won't find its way in there, or won't be scored more highly, even though that might be representing a much larger group of people. So I say this just based on, this is not my first rodeo, and I worry about the outcome here as a result of that methodology. And I just hope that later on, when the powers that be make the decisions, they recognize the importance of lighting, the importance of bathrooms, which this committee has addressed on a couple of meetings in a row. And with that, I've got to say, broadly speaking, I love this initiative, and I love that we're going out to the community to hear its thoughts. And I think this is a great approach, and have no doubt we'll end up with a good park. Thank you for the chance to speak.
Thank you, David. Mr. Sentence?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, through you. Just, I've always wondered this, when we're doing these things, we do end up piecemealing them. So I have a question for Ugo or maybe Dave. Would we save money, because the residents always want to know where it is, and rightly so, where the splash pad is, when this is coming, when that's coming. Would we save money by doing everything all at once? I know it's a big chunk to do, but at the end, instead of going 4 years down the road for a splash pad, is there an argument to be made for just doing everything all at once, biting the bullet, and saving money?
Yes, that will help get the more value for lesser money if we do it that way. Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Just food for thought for meetings. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to have any questions about this? Jeff, no? Seeing none, we'll move on to our next one, which is 8.2. Thank you, Ugo, for your presentation today. So we're going to move on to David. You have 8.2, garbage collection and parks and trails that you submitted. Floor is yours.
Well, that wasn't. Let's start this again. I think most of us received questions. What are things we'd like addressed in the future? And I responded with an email on things I'd like, but ultimately from staff, not from myself. I can tell you that ultimately the basic proposition I'd be interested in hearing about in due course, if Mr. Baldoni and or his crew, if I assume Mr. Baldoni is the correct person, but whomever wanted to come back with some sort of report. I have a home in Ingersoll, Ontario. It's about 14,000 people, and they've switched to underground mollusks in their park, which essentially have a tube that sticks out, and you put your dog I've got 2 dogs, and you put your dog refuse down the tube, and it goes underground. And I can tell you that your neighbor to the south and west is looking at these too. And we're doing that in, the 2 municipalities where I own real estate. One's done it, the other's considered doing it, because fundamentally it's really hard on park staff to pick up garbage cans that weigh 70 or 80 pounds because they're overflowing with dog waste, right? Like it takes 2 strong people to do that, and you're just screaming for back injuries. So, municipalities where I've drawn a paycheck have certainly looked at using their WSIB returns, which you get, assuming you don't have a lot of claims, to pay for those. But they're labor-saving devices that really, really make life better for staff. If you've ever tried to lift a bag full of dog feces, it really requires a lot of strength. In any event, I'm sort of interested to hear or see what it is Thorold does. You know, it popped up in the trails discussion, and it popped up in the discussion the other week. We did an open house, or I don't know if it was an open house. We invited a bunch of people to comment on the rail trail that's going to connect between Pelham and the Welland Canal trail system. And so garbage popped up there too. Ultimately, I think this committee could really provide some value by offering some commentary, but we need something to work with. So this really can't be coming from a committee member. I can tell you that staff I don't have to have met the Parks and Rec staff in Thorold to know that they prefer not to pick up a 70-pound garbage can. I know some analysis would be a good thing there. And I know that most municipalities get a return from WSIB each year because typically we have to pay at a certain rate based on size, but we tend to be pretty good at health and safety. And by and large, most of us get an annual rebate for that. And those monies are consistent in purpose with labor-saving devices that will improve health and safety. So it's actually even a form of revenue that staff kind of earn by not getting hurt. And I think Thorold City Council consider utilizing those rebates for something of that nature. That's enough editorial comment from you. The question posed was, what would you like to discuss in the future? I tried to respond in a way to make it clear that ultimately I'd like to hear the staff thoughts. And I don't just mean an offhand remark. I'd kind of like to see, like we had this evening, some sort of presentation or some sort of concept. We're not inventing anything new here. What we have is, or what we don't have is something that many other municipalities do. And it's good environmentally, and it's also good for the health and safety of staff. So I come at this in an attempt to support people. But that's the thing I hope in due course, before this term is up, I at least would like to hear. And I'm hoping there's some other people listening to my words and thinking, oh, that's something we could talk about and take a look at and possibly evaluate on behalf of council and throw them some sort of recommendation. I can say it's worked for communities smaller than ours, smaller than Thorold, because both those other places are smaller than this, and it's working for them. So worth at least considering, and thus endeth the remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Would anyone from city staff like to comment on this? Yes, Dave?
Good evening through you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Cribbs. Great points, all well taken. We have looked into some of the local providers. Cotton Inc. does the in-ground garbage removal. Sutera is another brand we've looked at for our dog park, for our community dog park here in Thorold. When we did reach out to another vendor, another proponent, I think that at that time the costs were around $3,000 for a 1.3 cubic meter unit. They wanted about $3,000 for the unit. It was about $175 a lift. So every time the truck came to site and lifted it out. So we would really need to be strategic on where we locate these items. At $175 a lift, we probably have, a few hundred garbage cans located throughout our parks and throughout the city. When I say a few hundred, probably around 175. So we would really need to look at where we're centralizing some of these items. If we're referencing 8.2 and 8.3, absolutely, I think the dog park would be a great start. I've researched on how much feces has been diverted from landfills, and how much it has saved, contaminated the grounds and things like that. Part of the problem we face is that some people visiting our dog parks are not picking up the feces, period. So whatever you install is for nothing. So education is key. So as soon as we can start educating and enforcing maybe some of our bylaws, the poop and scoop bylaw, then we can really put some hard numbers and some hard focus to something as simple as an in-ground pest waste system. But all great points, Mr. Cribbs. Duly noted. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Yes, Karen?
All right. Marcia, through you to Dave, Dave, is there ever the instance where it's less than 2 people in a car, like in a truck working at once in the parks, cleaning up the bins and whatnot?
Yep, through you, Madam Chair, to Mr. Daniels. Yep, Kieran, you are correct. We do have, so we schedule our garbage removal throughout our parks Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. That's how often we're doing it.
Yeah.
To keep the loads lighter, when we do experience, for example, this past long weekend, July 1st long weekend, we missed that holiday date. We see an influx of people visiting our parks. So we'll tag team and put a second individual in that truck to assist loading and unloading. Our staff is fully aware that if they do come across something that's large or cumbersome or heavy, note it. We'll call in for a small piece of equipment to come out and help load that garbage or refuse into the truck.
I just remember
Yes.
back when I worked at the city doing gardening and watering plants and all that kind of stuff, garbage cleanup as a student, and there was always 2 of us on a truck, and it was always students. I mean, I would say we're all young and fit, but I mean, majority of us could lift quite a bit of weight ourselves, and there was always 2 of us, and it just, this kind of thing with the over mounding of garbage never seemed to be an issue for us. Just curious, because it seems like $175 a lift for 175 that just seems like a lot of money. That's just me speaking as being a lot of money. That's all.
Thank you, Kieran. David, you have your hand up?
Yeah, in fairness, either I'm being misconstrued or that's not 175 times 175. The point is a couple where we know we get far more dog feces, to have a couple of these things strategically located around. You ever walk by one of the parks on the busy weekends and they're overflowing with refuse, and half of that is dog feces. That's what this gets. It's not, we're not talking about the end of public works staff or rec staff. I'm not sure who Thorold uses, but anyway, city staff going around and doing the garbage collection. You're talking about an effective way to divert simply the dog feces. And I'll just keep reiterating until someone can hear this, that multiple other municipalities, roughly our size, have done the analysis, and for every one of them, it's worked out. So again, the purpose of an advisory committee is to sort of delve deeper into something that council as a whole doesn't have time for, right? There's a mechanism here to reduce the strain and the workload on staff. And for most of the year, or, the students are only around for about 3 months of the year. So you've got 6-7 months where you're picking up trash. You got students for about half that, slightly less. I'm not saying every place you have 175 garbage cans, right? You'd probably get away with 6 to 8 around the municipality, whatever the mechanism. But wouldn't you like to see a report with some of that analysis? Right. It isn't one for one. And the notion isn't that city staff stop doing the work. It's taking the worst of the weight out and stuff that shouldn't be going to the landfill, by the by. And that tends to avoid injury. Like, there's multiple layers here. I'm sure the health and safety staff, if they heard this, would raise their eyebrows and want to learn more. Anyway, I'm just saying there are different ways to pay for it. It doesn't all necessarily have to, or I might mention that the Parks Reserve can only be spent on parks, and it's statutorily, it's paid at the time of development by the developers. So the city does in fact have a pool of money that's dedicated solely for, it can decide how it spends it on parks, but this qualifies and it can't be spent on other things. So there is in fact a reserve available for this purpose. But what I really just like is to see, it's great that Mr. Baldoni, so he's already cognizant of a bunch of this stuff, but we have a chance to sort of save the backs of staff, to divert from the landfill, and to certainly keep some of the parks from getting unsightly and unseemly. Like 3 times a week is excellent level of service as far as trash pickup. But you know, the Mollocks or whatever brand we end up, you know, you might end up going with, are there for one purpose, and it's a very effective diversion program. And
Thank you,
all
David.
I'm saying is, like the report.
Seeing that this has been brought up, would anybody on our council like to make a motion that this stay on our agenda moving forward? That we can use it as an action item in the future? Joe? That we revisit it at, once we get more, ask for a city report?
Yeah, I would like to see a bit of a report. I'd also like to, yeah, I'd like to see a bit of a further report. I'm also trying to envision what one of these things would look like. When I saw the item on the agenda, quite frankly, I sort of was thinking of a dog septic system, which this obviously is not. I sort of, now I envision it as being some kind of a hole in the ground that's got a container in it and a lid on it to put the stuff in. Hopefully the flies keep out, and I would just like to see, I would really like to see a diagram of what one of these things looks like.
So since Joe has a motion on the floor to have a report done by the city, do I have a seconder? I'm assuming David will put his hand up.
So, wait,
Yep.
who was the mover, sorry? Yeah.
David?
And what is the, I have, do you want council to direct staff to report on options regarding underground storage for dog waste, or?
Other parks also, right? I think we're, just to get that information like Joe had said earlier.
So what would you like added?
Yep.
That's good.
Any discussion on this motion?
Joe.
Seeing none, all those in favor of asking for a report? All those opposed? Noted, 1 opposed. This motion will move forward and ask the city to look into this for us. I'm going to put 8.3. David, is that okay? That was just covered by that one also? Okay,
Sorry. Yeah, I would think so. Yes.
thank you. We're going to move on to 8.4. Councillor Dedivitis, you had added this item. Would you like to speak on it?
Oh, okay. Thank you. I was just trying to get a better experience at the dog park. I go to different dog parks. And what I noticed with Thorold's dog park, there isn't a space to gather and to get out of the elements like the sun or the rain, or to hang out and talk with other dog owners and not be, you don't have to follow your dog around. I really like Pelham's dog park because they have a place that's like 10 by 10. And what happens there, you gather there, you put your water bottle there, you have a sense of a community, you talk with other people, and it's a great experience. And what I like what they did there, they cemented the picnic table to the ground so it doesn't move. So when you put your stuff, you can always guarantee you have a spot to put your water bottle and stuff. And a lot of older people, they want to go to the dog park, but it gets so hot. It's hard to utilize a dog park when you're out getting blasted in the sun. And I do go to Thorold's, but I do also go to Pelham's because I like getting out of the sun and I can sit there or bring some older people are there under there, and you get the chance to meet more people. And I think for our dog park to be successful, we have to build, especially something in the big dog park and something in the small dog park also, but at a smaller scale. And I think we can go to Pelham, take a peek at what they built there, and we should actually copy it because it's great, especially for a new dog park. We don't have a lot of shade there to begin with, and it'll be a better experience for the people of Thorold to have that.
Thank you, Councillor. Any comment on this? Anyone else? City staff, board? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Thank you, Mike, for that information. We have 8.5, which is candidate recap. Kieran submitted this. I'm assuming you're just asking for a staff update on a recap of it?
Yeah, no, that'd be great.
That would be you, Jacob.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and nice to see everyone tonight. Yeah, just to kind of provide a brief recap of this past weekend's festival here that we had. It was a great event overall. As most of you probably know by now, it's grown from a 2-day festival or a 2-day event into a 3-day festival now. So the first day this year was our Jazz Fest. That one's programmed by Niagara Jazz Festival. That took place Sunday the 29th. We had our Rock and Blues on Monday evening, and then Canada Day celebrations on Canada Day on the Tuesday there. This year, we've seen an even bigger event than ever before. Canada Day specifically, we had more than 10,000 people come through the gate into the park to celebrate Canada Day with us. So we're really excited with the growth that we've seen in this event over the past couple years. We plan to continue growing it. We're able to offer more food vendors than in the past. Some of the upgrades that were done to the park, including the concrete pads, really helped facilitate that and provide a safe area for people to sit and enjoy the park. Aside from that, we also, in time for Canada Day, Dave Baldoni and the crew at Community Services were able to get a nice sign hung up on the band shell. So it was a big step in terms of branding for Thorold when people are taking pictures and videos and sharing them of all the bands on stage. It's now lit up in an illuminated Thorold, so people know where this event's taking place, even if they're not there. We were really happy to see that. Aside from that, the event went off, I'd say, flawlessly. We had a little bit of rain the one night on Rock and Blues in the evening. So unfortunately, due to the weather and lightning, we did have to shut the park down a little bit early, just with everyone's safety in mind. But aside from that, it really was a great weekend. We had almost 15,000 people throughout the event of the 3 days that came out to the park. Really great for Thorold, really great for the downtown. And we're just happy that everything really went off, I'd say, flawlessly.
Yeah. Thanks, Jacob, and all the rest of the city staff, council, and the sponsors and the volunteers, like everyone coming together to do that. It was fantastic. My wife and I, we went every single day, as we always do. I grew up across the street, was going to the event as a little kid. Now I live on the other side of the park. I go through the park every single day. My only one concern, obviously, you probably know, is that we walk through at noon on the Sunday. There's maybe 100 people there. We tried to walk through with our dog, and we had to leave. We weren't allowed in. So I get it. The park is fully licensed. That's why you can't bring a dog through. But I mean, Councillor Didavias, you were standing right beside me when I mentioned this, and somebody with a dog walked right past me after I was sent home with my dog. So just a little bit upset over it. But obviously, I made a comment on the city website, and we'll never do that again. Every person, you're entitled to your opinion, but obviously, if you want to make a difference, join a committee. That's what we're here for, right? That's what we're all doing. That's why we do it. But you said it ran flawlessly, so that means no incidents. I didn't see police vehicles, sirens. I didn't see one thing, right? No,
exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Fire and emergency services were there volunteering their time as our first aid tent. They handed out some Band-Aids and, minor scrapes on knees for children. But aside from that, no major injuries or anything like that. All our bands were, able to get to the park, arrive safely on time. They all performed. Everything kind of went off according to schedule, with the exception of that one band that we had to cancel for rain.
Well, that's great. There's no injuries. There was no violence. There's no crimes. There was no police reports, or there was nothing, right? I just feel that, like I said, I grew up across the street, and ever since, I guess, 2020, 2019, or wherever it stood, I think Terry Dow was coordinating the event at that point. There was a bunch of us that were volunteers. We didn't have security. I was one of the volunteers that we would push people back from the fireworks because they would throw on a construction vest and away we go. I'm just getting at that at 11:30 in the morning on a Sunday, and I want to walk my dog through the park. Do we really need it security fenced off to it just seems like a lot of money. I know I keep going back to cost and money, but we can use this money for a lot of other things. It's not just for the park. It's not just for the event. One comment that I did, through the chair to Justin or Dave or city staff, what does an event like that cost? How much budget does council allot for that on a yearly budget?
Jacob, would you like to answer, or Dave?
Yeah, thank you through you, Madam Chair. So every year, a lot of the money comes from, or a good portion of the money comes from sponsorships. It's on a varying basis. It's on a scale. So each year to year, it's different. Kieran.
Okay. No,
Sorry,
just
apologies.
because
My
there was
computer just died there on me.
Yeah.
Jacob, thank you.
Just there was a comment from back on my comment on their Facebook page was that this is not paid for with tax dollars, was the final sentence on the comment, that all the money spent on the event was solely from sponsorship. Is that true?
Yeah, so in order to pay for the event, there's a mix of funding that comes from it. For sure, I'd say a good portion of it is sponsorship dollars that come in. We've been very happy that we've been able to see that grow kind of year over year for the past couple of years. We've reworked our sponsorship program in order to attract more and bigger sponsorships. The Jazz Fest Day specifically, that's fully, all the artist lineup and everything and all the events happening that day are paid through Niagara Jazz Festival. So that one's kind of a nice bonus that we've been able to welcome them to join our event for the past 2 years in a row. And we've been able to turn it from a 2-day event into a 3-day event at no additional cost because Niagara Jazz Festival does pay for that. But as far as the Rock and Blues and the Canada Day festivities, that is paid through a mix of sponsorship money and budget approved through council as well.
Okay. So that answers my question, because on the post from the city of Thorold, it says it is all paid for through sponsorship. It is not paid for by taxes. So I just wanted that on the record because there is a post. I could show you the post of them. But I'm going to go off topic there for a bit. My only thing is, do we have to have the park licensed the entire day? I mean, from 11 till, when the band starts, sure, great. Open it up full license, get everyone and their dogs or kids, because once the band start playing, it's a 50 and older party. I'm just saying. I was there every single day. I watched. It was great. It was fantastic. But a lot of us just want to walk our dog through the park. I know it's me saying that, and because I live across the street, I get looked at differently because you shouldn't bring your dog to a park. But there's no difference from that day and the market on Wednesday when I walk my dog through the park, other than the licensing.
Yeah, I think just to comment on your concerns there, allowing dogs to access the park and people to come in the park with their dogs is something that's been discussed between myself, the special events working group, which is kind of mandated to, make the ultimate decisions for our events, as well as a few other people such as our health and safety team, Niagara Public Health, our fire and bylaw departments, as well as I'm part of a group of, basically a group of network of municipal event planners that stretches all across Ontario. This is something that it's a hot topic for sure. Obviously, people with dogs like to be able to include their pets as part of their family in some events. But ultimately, we chose to follow the decision that was made the past several years from before I started planning events. And we just kind of kept status quo that dogs weren't allowed in the park unless they were service animals. I know you mentioned that someone else did have a dog in the park. I can't speak to that specific situation, but security was instructed very clearly that no dogs were to be able to come into the park unless they were a service animal for an individual. There's a variety of reasons that we don't allow pets in the park. One of them being the sheer volume of people at this event. The market's a little bit different in that maybe the market on average has 500 people, whereas this one, sometimes there's a minimum of 5,000 to 7,000 people in the park. So it's not only that, but kind of a variety of factors that we, weigh in on and ultimately leads to this decision to not allow pets in the park for this event.
Yeah, so that just brings my question right back to where it started, because Sunday afternoon at 11 till 2, there's not 5,000 people in the park. There's maybe 500 or less. I was at the park the whole day, the whole time. I get it. It's Canada Day. Yeah, that's fine. There's 10,000 people there. That was as busy as I've ever seen the park in my life. But the Abonation, there was probably 2,500 people there.
So I'm just going to speak as a vendor, if you all don't mind, for 1 minute.
Sure.
As a vendor who's been there, the park technically isn't open to the public yet. And as a vendor, knowing security is only allowing vendors in does make me feel safer and the stuff I've left overnight. So by keeping it contained and not allowing people to walk their dogs, you might be walking your dog, but you also might be grabbing something from my booth. And all these vendors that came out to us are trusting us. And I'm just speaking from a vendor's point of view, that those vendors, you know, do make our event. And your dog could be walked around the park, and you could walk around 7-Eleven and do the whole big loop. So I'm just saying, from that point of view, it does make a difference for safety for the vendors, knowing our stuff is safe. Mike Dedivitis, you are next, and then Jeff, you're next.
All right. I just had a couple comments. First, I was really happy to see the city partner with an outside party like the Jazz Festival and bring it in and use our parks with it together. Shows that we work with other people for a common goal to promoting our parks, and it builds a sense of community. With security, you always have to have security. I've worked with alcohol and gaming all my life. I've done big events. Whether there's 2 people or 4 people, there's always rules. You have to have security. That's the bottom line. With the dogs, it's tough. When you have a rule, you have to follow it, because it's hard to tell a guy you can stay with the dog, then 3 o'clock now you got to get out. Well, I don't want to leave yet. So you put yourself in a bad spot. It's hard to make everybody happy. And sometimes you're going to get what happened. And you were right, Kieran, the dog was there, but we dealt with it. He was asked to leave. But these are policies we put in place, and other festivals around. I know David, his festival, they don't allow dogs in there either. The big events like that, you got to be very careful. And I was just happy the positivity that came out of this, working and getting so many people in that park was amazing, and not to have any trouble. And I just want to see our parks be utilized more. From being in downtown Thorold for 38 years and seeing that park not utilized, as a business owner, it was killing me to watch that and divest $2 million in that park and not use it. And other municipalities all have these big events, and sometimes it does take tax dollars to help pay for these events, but it's good for the community. You have to do that. And you ask all the CEOs how important that is to have that in your backyard. You need to do that. The people have to have pride in their community. The worst thing I hate as a council, why does they have Summerfest? Why do they have Canal Days? Why don't you guys do something? Then when you do something, you get criticized for tax dollars. So you got to look at the big pie. You have to do these things. It's important to build it. It's good for the downtown. It's good for everybody. There were so many happy kids and families there. And I encourage anybody in Niagara to come use our park. We have the best park in Niagara. We have to market it that way. We have everything going, the band shell, the size, the history, the playground. We have it all. So hats off. It was a great job. And I know, Kieran, you're upset, and I understand why. But it was a great event, and Jacob and the whole team, the city, everybody did a good job. The employees, it was a fun day out.
Thank you, Mike. Jeff, you're next.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot tonight about garbage collection and dogs at events, and good, and there's always room for improvement. But I would just echo what I just heard, that Jacob, your team and are to be commended. It was a really good 3 days, and I was really impressed by the energy and the positivity as well. So well done. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? Joe, you have something?
Thank you.
Just a very minor thing. One of my daughters was working the first aid booth, and she asked me to just mention this. The closest thing she had to a complaint was that particularly people that had been there the day before knew there was a water station. Now, if you hadn't been there the day before, you wouldn't have known that there was not a water station on Canada Day. And I realize supplying water for 10,000 people is an awful lot different than supplying it for a couple of thousand people. But as I say, I just thought I'd mention that. And as I say, that was virtually the only negative comment that she heard. She was there all day.
Thank you, Joe. They were giving out water in the tent, the city staff, when people did come up. Jacob brought over cases, and they were offering water to people who did come with their bottles. So thank you guys for even acting on that too. So it's wonderful. Anybody else? Jacob, you're off the hot seat. Thank you again very much. You guys did an excellent
Thank you.
job.
Have a good night. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're going to move on to roundtable. I'm going to start in-house this time because last time I did online. Peter, do you have anything? Joe? Rich? Ken? Kieran? Jeff? Wonderful. Megan, do you have anything? David, do you have anything? No? Okay. Councillor Dadavitis?
Well, I just want to, if we can work as a group to find a plan how to promote our parks, because there's so many new people moving into Thorold. I was in Rolling Meadows talking to some people about the community market and all that. And even I spoke to someone downtown, the mayor walked right by me and I said, Beaver Dams Park. She was from Thorold. She asked me, where's Beaver Dams Park? I go, right in front of you, turn around. She didn't know. So we have to find out some way to work together, all of us, and find a way to promote the park. I don't know if we can send something in the water bill saying, by the way, this is a list of parks. This is an unbelievable park. Come check it out. Some kind of way we have to, especially with so many new people moving to Thorold, they have no clue about our parks. And we have to utilize it and get it busy. That's why that trail is so important too. So we can get people moving and using that parks and hopefully our new trail.
Thank you, Mike. George, you're next. Anything for roundtable?
Yeah, just a trail safety observation. I'm a frequent trail walker, and I've noted that the area south of Lot 7 the grass is cut. It's been cut at least twice. And the area north of the Lot 7 viewing center down to Regent Street is getting heavily encroached by weeds, trees, shrubs, you name it. And it's getting to the point where two people or bicycle and people cannot pass each other safely. Last year, apparently, a woman was almost run over by a bicycle because it was so narrow. So just bringing this to staff's attention that it is a bit of a problem on that section from Portland down to Regent. That's all.
Thank you, George. Dave, do you have anything?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to comment to George. George, I'll have staff immediately look at your safety concerns and we'll address them by week's end for sure.
Thank you. Bob, do you have anything?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. Jacob?
I just wanted to mention that this Wednesday, July 9th, we've got a big country band coming out to the concert, to the market for a country concert. So 5 to 9, hopefully we can see everyone out there to support the Thorold Community Market. And looking forward to Santa Claus Parade next after that.
Back to Kieran, you had something?
Sorry, I just wanted the presentation that was done earlier by Hugo, and I brought up just the comment regarding the field size for the mini field soccer and the parking. Is that going to be addressed or put in one of the presentations at the PIC? That's what this is for, right?
So yeah, Ugo is still on, but it basically that presentation that you saw is more or less the presentation for the PIC. And as far as I understand, they're gathering comments from this group and then comments from the PIC, and then
so those comments I made earlier will be recorded and
so it would be captured just like in the PIC.
Thank you.
Sorry, if I may add a little bit regarding the comments. So we have a comment sheet for this PIC. So if the committee here will be able to provide the comments, we'll have it included in our list of documents to be evaluated after the PIC.
Thank you. And for myself, I just want to commend city staff and Jacob. You guys did an awesome thing on Canada Day. I know you guys worked overtime and I truly appreciate it. But it was one of the best ones that I've attended in many years, and the fireworks were unbelievable. You guys went above and beyond for the firework display. Everybody was in awe that was around us. So thank you very much for doing that and all the work that goes into it, and to the sponsors, thank you. Seeing that, our next meeting will be held on August 11th, 2025. I do know it's summer, so if you are unable to attend, please put RSVP that you're not going to be here, so the rest of us don't come and don't have quorum. That'd be wonderful. And then with that being said, we're going to adjourn at 8:05. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Good night, everyone.
Night, everyone.